Hi, my name's Keith Cooper from Northlight Images, and in this short video I'm going to show a new panoramic head from a company called Rogeti. I've looked at some of their stuff in the past, but this panoramic tripod head is specially designed to allow you to take multiple shots for stitching in for VR use or all kinds of stuff. This is not really about how you use the images, but just about the physical tripod head itself. Now the device comes in a rather nice case. This case here weighs some 1.6 kilos. The head itself, which is inside, weighs only 760 grams. It's made of a fairly light alloy. It's very stiff. It's quite strong. I had no problems with it, but what I do is just show how you set the thing up. Now, it's based on some of Rogeti's tripod head parts that are used in other devices. This, for example, is their geared tripod head, which I use in a lot of my architectural photography. It's very precise. I've got a video about it, but there's a review on the Northlight site as well. But parts in this are common with parts in the other head, as I'll show. The whole lot fits together rather nicely. You've got an option at the base of the unit of either using a dovetail attachment, or in this case a 3/8 screw thread. Now this is an oldish tripod that I've had. I used to use this with a Gigapan Epic Pro motorized unit, so it's quite tough. It doesn't really matter as long as it's sturdy enough and can be easily leveled. But I'm just going to screw that into there, drop that in, lock it in place. Now this is the basic rotational movement for your head. First bar, this one slots in. These are all standard Arca dovetails. So we just line that one up. It's got a bubble level in the top, which helps for setting up. Now there are two aspects of setting this up. One is assembling it, putting the camera on and doing that. The other one is adjusting the camera alignment for parallax and for finding the nodal point of the lens. I'm not going to go into that in detail here. I've covered it more in the written article that's linked to from this particular video. So we have this. Now at the top here, we fit another one of these 360-degree units. There's a small slot here that matches up with a lug here, so we just pop that in, fit it into place, and it locks nicely. We've got movement there, that locks it. There are measurements marked around here for setting angles. Likewise, there are angles on this one for when you're doing multiple shots. You need to make sure they overlap by enough. Of course, if you use something like a fisheye lens, you're virtually guaranteed overlap, but that comes at a cost of lower resolution. For some of the higher resolution shots I do, where I'm using the motorized unit, I may be using a 200mm lens, and I can easily be stitching several hundred images to make ultra high resolution images, but that's something entirely different. Two more units. There is the horizontal bar. This one fits in, and Rogeti dovetails have an option. You don't have to use it in the normal tripods. There is a little pin in here, and that goes in with a tiny little groove here. So just open that up. And that locks it. So we've now got that. There are more detailed views, I should say, on the review itself. It's very difficult with the video here to show the combination of detail and overall look of the thing, but this is really just to give you an idea of what this device does. Now take the other plate here. Now in this one, keep the Rogeti name, needs to face towards the front. The little pin at the back here to stop it sliding off, so I'll just open this one up. I'll put that on there. and there is where a camera is going to go. Now, an example here, I'm going to use my 5DS. This is what I use for a lot of my architectural photography, and it has already on it a Rogeti L bracket. Now, the Rogeti L bracket, there are lots of L brackets. This one's quite a nice one. Has quite a few nice touches, loads of bubble levels on it. But there's an article about that as well. As you probably guessed, there are well over 1,000 articles on the Northlight Images website. So if you see anything I'm using in these, there's almost certainly an article, even if I haven't got round to making a video about it yet. But anyway, we take the normal L bracket, and you can see I've got a cable release attached to this. Take care when you're tightening these things, don't really want to drop your camera. That's nice and tight, that's nice and tight, and we now have the camera fitted. Now, if you've done much panoramic stitching, you'll know that it's essential that the lens camera rotates about the nodal point of the lens. Now, in this instance, because we're doing up and down as well as side to side movement, we need to get the camera precisely positioned so that the center of where the nodal point of the lens is, and I could go into this in more detail in the article, it's not that complicated. I need to line up this axis and this axis with inside the lens. Now, because I've tested it before, I know that if I slide the camera along a little bit so it's there, we are now rotating about the nodal point of the lens, so when I stitch multiple images I won't get parallax problems. So that's it really. In use, I would normally make sure to level here, it's a little bubble level as here. If you're using a different camera, different L bracket, different settings here, then you will need to adjust these. This is a one-off thing. Make a note of the settings and just use that when you set the thing up. So there we have, ready to shoot. And if I loosen this one off, we can do here. Can point downwards. Now, if you've done this before, you'll realise pointing downwards, I'm just going to get a photo with the tripod in the middle of it. It turns out that you can release this knob here, reverse the camera, move your tripod sideways, and have the camera on this side looking downwards for taking a shot if you need it for patching afterwards, if you need a full 360. Obviously with this fisheye lens I can do the coverage in 4 shots easily, and just for looking upwards we can take a picture looking straight up as well. And there we go, that's done with that. That's basic use of it. Just a couple of other tricks you can do with this, which is why Rogeti stuff to me is always obviously designed by real photographers who know what they're doing and have done the work itself. Here is a Canon TSE 24 tilt shift lens, and it's in a clamping device, a TSE frame by Rogeti, and this is used for multiple stitching of shots where the camera moves. You clamp the lens itself onto a tripod, the camera's here, camera moves up and down or sideways, however you need it for multiple shots. Works very well for that. But there is a base plate available, and this has, conveniently, because this information is never published, it has where the nodal points are for the particular lens. Now this one is for the TSE 17mm and this one the TSE 24mm. There is one for the TSE 50 as well. So I already know where the nodal point of the lens is by looking at this setting here. I don't need any of this. I can take this off. Just line that up. clamp it tightly. Now I won't put the camera on it here, so gives you the idea. We are set up for doing panoramic shots using TSC-24. Why one of these TSC lenses? They're extremely good quality. You don't need the shift or anything. If you use something like the 50 and you're doing shots for stitching together, you know the focal length, it's very low distortion. And so the camera on here, that allows you to set that, and it's just as before, shots upwards, shots downwards as needed. So there you go. That is the Rogeti 360. Do have a look at the article as well. There's some more detailed shots of the detail of the metalwork here. The whole thing, like all Rogeti kit, is very solid but very light. Nicely engineered. Say, hope that's of interest if you're interested in doing panoramic views and stitching. And thank you very much.